Okay, this is JB. I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas. Today is August 11, 2025. I'm going to answer some more questions. These are personal identity and philosophy. Wow. Okay, first one. When did you first realize who you were and who you were not? I don't know the moment. And that question is a tough question because it can mean anything. But throughout my life, I've been very introspective, been very self-aware. I have thought a lot about who I am and who I'm not. So I think probably very early. Uh, I've always been me. I've always wanted to learn, been very curious, had a lot of enthusiasm and drive and ambition, and I did that very early on. How have you changed over the years, and what's stayed the same? Well, uh, I've aged over the years, 40 almost. And coming December, it'll be 40. So I physically have grown, and I've also aged. I've decayed. I'm not youthful as I once was, not as strong as I once was, and different physically than I once was for different reasons, a lot of different reasons. Uh, One of them is just time, and the rest of it is just physical. It just happens. Medical things happen. Uh, what are you proudest of becoming, even if no one noticed? Hmm. I'm proud of everything that I've become, but if I have to answer it, I would say an intellectual, because I have sought to learn throughout my life. I wanted to learn not just to pass the test at school, but because I want to understand the world and everything in it. And that's hard because the world's big and a lot going on. You can't understand everything. It's not possible. But just as curious as I can be, and try to learn as much as I can about everything, and try to ask questions and further, deeper understand things. And some people have noticed because I've been invited to speak at universities, and I've been admitted to some great academic programs, but the average person doesn't notice, and they don't care. They're like, yeah, who cares? But but I am proud of it because it means that instead of just being very simple and just focusing on my own little life, I've really tried to understand the big picture. And I think all people should do that because we're not alone in the world. And a lot is going on, so we need to really understand as much as we can. What values guide you even when things get tough? Cool. Um, I think these are the same values that I learned when I was in church when I was a kid, which is fairness and kindness, love, uh, you know, the golden rule, and all these other things that you learn in church about how to treat other people. And I haven't always lived up to that, haven't always done the right thing, but I've always tried. And I just 1 year ago, I talked about this the night before I went in for surgery and brain surgery. And these are the ideas that I wanted to share with the world in case I never got to speak again. And so I think these have always been really important to me in my life. What does strength mean to you? Has that changed over time? Um, so strength to me means the ability to overcome situations. and that could mean a lot of different things. But it just means having the toughness and the ability to persevere when things are hard. And maybe it's academics, maybe it's physical, like running a race or competing in some event. Maybe it's just getting through a relationship or life's problems. But all of these things are ways to show your strength, your inner strength, who you are, what you got inside you, your soul, your heart. Um, but that has changed over time because as a boy, as a male, born in the South with a brother, an older brother, strength meant who's going to win the fight. And, starting when we were little, 1, 2 years old, uh, we were physically fighting. you know, Sometimes not in anger and sometimes in anger. And I've always, or I did when I was younger, see strength as what you can do with your muscles and with your fists and with your legs, and how you can overcome someone physically. But that doesn't mean anything uh, in the long run, because there's always somebody tougher than you physically. And so no matter how tough you are, no matter how good of a fighter you are, there's somebody else who's a little bit bigger and a little bit tougher. And I found that out the hard way sometimes. What do you fear being misunderstood about? Hmm. That's a hard question. Because I hope that I've spoken clearly enough that nobody misunderstands anything. But I hope that people realize the reason why I do things. I do things because they're important. I think they're right. And sometimes it doesn't look like that. Like when you go to law school, it's like people might think, oh, he's going to law school because he wants a fancy title, he wants social recognition, he wants to go to the soiree, and he wants to walk around in $1,000 suit and drive a Mercedes Benz and have a mansion. And that's not why I'm doing it. And I'll prove that if I become a lawyer by not living that way. And so I hope that people don't misunderstand my intentions. Like when I did all the work, the workers' rights advocacy, I didn't do that so that I could get in the newspaper and on TV and all over the internet and radio and everything else. I did it because it was right, because it needed to be said, and I felt like I was the best person to say it. And I think other people recognize that, but maybe some did not. Do you believe people can truly change? Well, people are who they are. They are who they are. However, they can change how they act. So, for example, let's say someone is an asshole. They're just an asshole. But they don't have to be an asshole to other people. Inside they can be an asshole. But, when they see an old lady crossing the street, they help her across the street. Or when someone's rude to them, they can respond, okay, have a nice day. They don't have to be an asshole back. So they can change that. That takes maturity. It takes maturity. And it's hard. Personal experience, I can tell you it's hard. And hope that doesn't mean I'm an asshole who's just figured out how to not show it, but you can have your own personality, your own way of being, but that doesn't mean that you always have to show that to the public. What is something you have forgiven and how? Um, this is not one of my strong suits. It's not something that I'm terribly good at, forgiving. I need to forgive more, but it's hard because when someone does something against me, it's very personal to me, and it harms me, and it's like it's an attack. And so when someone attacks you, it's hard to forgive. Um, but there have been a lot of interactions that I've had with family members and friends that made me very angry in the moment, and over time we just let it go, forgave it, and not forgot it, but mostly. And people have forgiven me and um, allowed all of us to move on. I talked recently about the way that my family had forgiven me. Some of my family members, my dad, brother, and sister, after I had the brain surgery, and they forgave me, even though they may not have wanted to, but they did, out of love, and it's made it better for everyone. What kind of legacy matters to you most? The legacy that matters to me most is that people will say, oh, Jarrett tried to do the right thing. Jarrett tried to help people. Jarrett was a good person. Jarrett did hard things and he succeeded. And if people say that, if people say that, that's all I need. What's your relationship with vulnerability? I think I just showed it. I cried. But I've always been not an open book, but pretty close. I have always told people what I thought, what I felt, how I was affected by things that happened, and I've been as open and honest as any person could possibly be. And when you're like that, you're opening yourself up for all kinds of things, criticism, people who make fun of you, people to take advantage of you, lots of that. And sometimes that's happened, but I'm okay with it. That's all for this section.